Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. This is our meeting of the regular City Council, as well as acting as a successor agency, the redevelopment agency, the Rialto Utility Authority, as well as the Rialto Housing Authority. I'm going to call on Madam City Clerk for roll call.
Mayor
Please.
Robertson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carrie Sellers,
Present.
Councilmember Baca,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Councilmember Scott,
Present.
City Treasurer Ed Correa,
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell,
Present.
sitting in tonight for City Manager's Assistant, City Manager Tanya Williams.
Thank you. And now I will ask everyone if you would stand and join Councilmember Rafael Trujillo in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then please remain standing for invocation, which will be by Pastor Joel Booker, Inland Lighthouse Church.
Stand, put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Hello there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. If we could bow our heads. Lord Jesus, we love you tonight, and we thank you for the opportunity to be in your presence. We ask that you would bless this meeting, bless these proceedings. We ask that you would bless our mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, the City Council, all of the city officials, and all of those that will be presenting tonight. We thank you for all of this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Now I would ask if council would be so kind as to report out on closed session.
I'd be happy to do that, Mayor. The first item was a conference with legal counsel with regard to 11 items of anticipated litigation. One of those items was added at our earlier session as a matter of subsequent need under Government Code Section 54954.2 B2. You heard a report from your HR director and your special counsel with regard to the items listed on there and from city attorney. You did give direction unanimously, and there was no reportable action on that item. Items 2 and 3, the council did have a discussion regarding those items. There's no reportable action on those items at this time. Item 4 was a conference with labor negotiator. You did have a discussion with your labor negotiator and gave direction with regard to those employee groups. However, there's no reportable action on those at this time. Also, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a presentation and proclamations. And so this evening, I have a couple of them, but I would like to note that 2 of them, number 2 and number 3, is going to be moved, and those will be presented April 23rd. And that is one for in memoriam of Mr. Victor Rihu, and also in memoriam of Mr. Marion Black Jr. So with that, I'm going to come down, and I believe, hopefully, we have those who are going to be here. I'm going to start with a presentation for an in memoriam for Bishop Roxy Smith, and then I have one for National Arbor Day, Earth Day, and then a proclamation for One Legacy, Donate Life. And I hope that they're here to receive them all at once. Quite a bit. All right. First one is for Bishop Roxy Smith, and I was wondering, was there some of the please come forward, guys. Thank you. I believe these Bishop Smith's granddaughters? Yeah, that's what I thought. And we had a wonderful, wonderful celebration of life April 3rd for Bishop Roxy over at the Ayers Hotel. And it was very well packed. So they've asked to look at doing another one so they can extend. But I wanted to recognize Bishop Roxy. And I'm going to briefly just read a little bit about her, and then I would love to let a couple of you speak on your grandmother's behalf. Dr. Bishop Roxy Smith was born Roxy Lee Harris, and she was born April 3rd, 1942, to Lola Harris and S.E.B. Harris in Columbus, Georgia. She spent most of her childhood in Hertzburg, Alabama, and grew up a middle daughter out of 3 and one of 6. Willie B., Dorothy B., Arthur, and Leila, her siblings, survived her. Her brother Stanley, her youngest sibling, passed away in '86. After graduation from Russell County High School, Roxy moved to Saginaw, Michigan, where both Dorothy and Essie lived at the time. She later moved to Los Angeles, and she married Reverend Joseph Moore, and after he passed, Kenneth Smith. The good bishop birthed 3 gorgeous daughters, Annette Moore, Nikki Smith, and Lakeisha. And in 1979, Roxy was ordained as a minister and founded Concerned Women for Christ with Brenda Gauntlet. Ministry in the Inland Empire is where she was ministering most of the time. She started in Los Angeles, and she sold that out, which was sold out for Jesus Ministry, if I'm getting this right. But Roxy earned an associate degree in computer science. Ever the entrepreneur, she also created Roxy Clothing Store in the 70s while in Los Angeles. And then she came to the Inland Empire, and she created Roxy's Bookstore. In 1999, she moved to Rialto, where she had a church, and she ministered in San Bernardino and Rialto. Roxy's daughters blessed her with 16 grandchildren. They're all named here. I'm not going to read them all. I told them that night. And she was fortunate to have loved, and been loved by 2 great-grandchildren. Bishop Dr. Smith is remembered as the seed from which all of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren have blossomed. The seed of her progeny beliefs in God, progeny. The seed from which they have learned to have love for each other, for their neighbor, and for the Heavenly Father. The seed planted success, education, prosperity, and humility for the generations to come. And I'm happy to present this to the family on this day, April 9th, 2024. But this will also be in the records of the city as number 3, Series 2024. So with that, ladies, here you go. Thank you. Okay, congratulations.
That was her.
Without any of you
But I am-
speak on behalf of your
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Robertson, and thank you to the city of Rialto. My grandmother loved her some Rialto, California. And for those of you that were fortunate enough to meet her or just meet her, see her, talk to her, speak to her, she was such a big presence, such a strong presence. And we're gonna miss her, but her love and also her strength and her we not taking no for an answer lives in all of us, and we reside here, and we hope that we'll be able to work with the city of Rialto on whatever is happening as far as the community is concerned, whether it be spiritual based or not. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
And now I'm also acknowledging Arbor Day. So who's going to be here? Oh, come on, Mike. On behalf of Arbor Day and behalf of our Public Works Maintenance, we have a proclamation acknowledging Arbor Day. And I'm going to just go through it quickly here. And it says, whereas in 1872, The Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Deborah Robertson, Mayor of the City of Rialto, do hereby proclaim April 26th as Arbor Day in the City of Rialto, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Furthermore, and urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. And it's signed by myself, as well as attested to by our city clerk, Ms. Barbara McGee, on this day, April 9th. So there you go. Thank you. Come on. Plant trees, okay, on Arbor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council. I just wanted to take this opportunity to capture some significant improvements we did this year. With Council's support and commitment to the urban forest, we have successfully completed a partnership with the Tree People organization. Through that partnership with the Tree People in our community, we planted over 200 trees throughout the city's parks and parkways and gave away 150 trees to our community. Next month, Director Sullivan, who couldn't be here today, will be presenting another grant opportunity to even extend our urban plan larger, make it larger. Adding to these recent successes, I would also like to highlight that the city is waiting for confirmation on being accepted as a dedicated Tree City USA, designated by the National Arborist Foundation, which was last received in 2002 and before that in 1993. So Arbor Day and Earth Day, they both complement each other. Arbor Day's purpose is to plant trees in the community, while Earth Day's intended to pay attention to the condition of the environment and what we could do to help it. So with that, thank you for your support, Council. Madam Mayor.
Good. Don't go away. And with that, we also have a proclamation acknowledging Earth Day. And so, whereas since April 22nd, 1970, Earth Day celebrations have annually demonstrated a compelling commitment among millions of people to raise public understanding of the complex relationship that exists between people and their daily activities in the environment. And whereas Earth Day symbolizes the importance our community places on environmental stewardship and serve to unify all of us on the practice of environmental protection each and every day. And whereas local communities can do much to reverse environmental degradation and contribute to building a healthy society by addressing issues such as energy use, transportation, waste prevention, and sprawl. And whereas the environmental realities of our time require humans to make a dramatic shift in our relationships to the earth. Whereas the City of Rialto hereby encourages its residents, businesses, and institutions to use Earth Day to celebrate the earth and commit to building a sustainable society. Now, therefore, I, Deborah Robertson, Mayor of the City Council, Mayor and the City Council do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day in the City of Rialto and call upon all citizens to join staff on Saturday, April 20th in beautifying the city and recognizing Earth Day for the essential services it provides to our community. Again, signed by myself and attested to by the city clerk, Barbara McGee. So,
Thank you.
would you like to take that one as well?
Yes.
And did you have something about our Earth Day?
Earth Day, right, yes. Thank you again. I would like to take this opportunity to invite council and the community to come out and join us in celebrating Earth Day on April 20th. Earth Day serves as a reminder of the significance of environmental conservation and sustainability and encourages us to come together for a healthy community and planet. The event aims to promote awareness, inspire change, and cultivate a deeper connection with nature. We have planned various activities to achieve these objectives. By working together, we can make a meaningful impact. Earth Day celebration event is scheduled to start at 7:30, meeting at the maintenance yard, 246 South Willow Avenue. It concludes at 12 o'clock, and for all the volunteers, lunch will be provided. Those that are caught working extra hard will be given an extra cookie.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you,
Mayor.
thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, now I think this is the annual opportunity to recognize one legacy. And so is there someone here that's coming in? There you guys are. Thank you very much. It's that time of the year to come in. And this is for Donate Life Month. And so whereas organ, eye, tissue, marrow, and blood donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as an expression of compassion to those in need, more than 100,000 individuals nationwide and more than 20,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and on average, 17 people die each day while waiting. Whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in the Hispanic, Latino, and African American communities. Whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lung, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, and the donation of tissue can heal the lives of more than 75 others. Organ donors saved more than 46,000 lives last year, the most ever. And so whereas California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry online at any time by visiting www.donatelifecalifornia.org, or for Spanish speakers, there is also a link that's available in the California residents interested in saving lives through living with kidney donations may visit www.livingdonationcalifornia.org. And whereas California residents can sign up to be an organ, eye, tissue donor when applying for your renewing their driver's license or ID cards with the California Department of Motor Vehicles. I won't ask everybody to show their hands, how many have done that, but thank you. Okay. But we got a lot of work to do because I only saw 3 hands. Okay. Now, therefore, be resolved that in recognition of National Donate Life Month, the month of April 2024 is hereby proclaimed DMV Donate Life Month. And in the city of Rialto, and in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes online or when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card with the DMV. And this is presented to you as well from me and signed by our city clerk. And so why don't you just let people know that you'll be here, be available, and maybe some numbers of what has happened this past year.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
Well, good evening, Mayor Robertson, City Council, city staff, residents of the city of Rialto. I used to be a resident of Rialto many years ago. But my name is Cheryl Mahan. I am a living kidney donor to my brother Stephen and a One Legacy ambassador. And organ, eye, and tissue donation is very near and dear to my heart. My family has a genetic kidney disease called polycystic kidney disease, PKD for short. 3 little letters that has forever changed my family's for generations. My grandmother, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, my nephews all have PKD, and there's no cure. So I saw my dad be hooked to a dialysis machine 3 times a week to be able to live. He left us way too young, still dependent on that machine. In 2008, my brother's kidneys had failed. I said, I'll be your living donor. So thankfully, I was in good enough health, I passed all the tests, and I was able to donate to my brother. Because my brother received a gift of life, he was able to see his kids graduate high school, watch his daughter get married, and experience the birth of his 3 grandchildren. In 2020, my sister Teresa received her second chance at life. As my niece became a living donor, her kidney flew to Wisconsin, my sister's kidney arrived from the Northeast, and she got her second chance at life. She was able to celebrate her son's wedding that year in 2020 during the COVID times. The baby brother is currently on dialysis and is in need of a kidney. So that's why it's so important to me. And in closing, I'd like to share with you something really personal to me. When I was in the hospital with my brother's kidney donation, unbeknownst to each other, we were being good patients and we were doing what the doctor said, and we were both awake at 2 a.m. in the morning. We both ended up in the hallway to walk our laps, unbeknownst to each other. As we walked those hospital hallways, pushing our IV poles with one hand, holding hands with the other hands, it's a memory I will never forget. Sadly, my brother passed away last year. So I'm here to thank the city of Rialto for declaring April as National Donate Life Month, and I would urge the residents of Rialto to register to be an organ donor. Get that pink dot on your driver's license. You can do it at the DMV. You can do it online if you get your license at the DMV.
Or you can do it at Earth Day, Earth to Table.
Hey, we are going to, One Legacy, going to be here in the city of Rialto this year. We're going to be at your National Night Out
Okay.
on August 2nd, and there's some other events that we're planning on being at. So come to our tent, get some information, pick up some free goodies. And so you can be somebody's hero. You can save somebody's life. As Mayor Robertson said, there's 100,000 people on the transplant list. 20 people die each day, waiting for those organs. So thank you, City of Rialto, Mayor Robertson, for declaring April as National Donate Life Month.
Thank you. You're
Thank
welcome.
you, sir.
Oh, there we are. Yes. Okay. Any comments?
Madam, just not on that, but something else.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I'd like us to adjourn in memory of Bobby Romo, a firefighter who was born in 1953 and died in 2024. Fire Chief Brian Parker and I and many of the firefighters and members of the community were there to hear the legacy and memory of Romo that was attended by many of the community members and firefighters. I just wanted us to adjourn in memory of him. He worked for the city of Rialto as a firefighter for, I believe, over 32 years. Is that correct, Brian? Mm-hmm. 34 years. Pardon, 34? 34 years for the city of Rialto.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd also like
Councilmember Trujillo.
our meeting to be adjourned in the memory of Gil Navarro, former county school board member, and also former water board member. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so that concludes that. I'll turn to Madam City Clerk on general oral communication requests.
Yes, we have one person want to speak on oral communication. Lynn Summers want to speak on Earth Day.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, some of you, first of all, hello, council. Some of you may know that I am your local farmer. There are female farmers out there, but I'm also with the county of San Bernardino County Master Gardener, Master Food Preserver. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that everyone understands is that once a month, over here across the street, we do free classes. You've probably heard me talk about composting, growing your own food, and doing preserves. Earth Day is something that I will be doing. I'm going to be busy the whole month, just doing different functions. So I'll be doing composting up at the Renaissance, this Saturday, teaching people how to compost anybody that comes in, and they'll be able to talk to Starbucks to make sure that they get, people will be able to get coffee grounds third Saturday of the month, 9 until 11. Usually it's until 1, until everybody kind of like leaves out and stops asking questions. But it's something that's open to the community. So it's very important that we all take action, that we all understand what's going on whenever we're talking about our earth, as well as just being good stewards. So I am inviting everyone, again, every third Saturday. We have different classes. They are free to the community. We normally have roughly about 20 people, and we're always open for others. And it looks like we're going to be partnering with Starbucks, and so come on out. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I just wanted to invite everybody and realize that everybody has the opportunity to change the way that we see the earth. So thank you so much.
Ms. Summers, before you leave, I think there's something else that you should share with the community that you shared briefly with us when I was having a meeting at the chamber about citrus and a concern that you were saying. So I think this is a great opportunity to share what that concern was.
So all of us, I don't know how many in here are around, have citrus at their homes. It's very, very important. If you've heard about the fruit fly, if you've heard about citrus psyllid, I need everyone, this is the time that you should harvest your citrus anyway. Harvest it. Do not, whatever you do, because of this fruit fly, do not go and give it to any of your family members. Keep it right there on your property. The fruit fly, if it spreads, what's going to end up happening, it's going to wipe out more of our citrus. It's going to wipe out more of our produce. We're ag. So just imagine if we, because we are in the hot zone, what ends up happening is if there's an infected piece of fruit that goes up north because, oh, my family lives in Sacramento. If that has a fruit fly and if it gets if you pass it to them, can you imagine that the whole state of California will be affected? So it's really important that we're asking, and you'll start seeing people come around. The USDA will be coming to people's homes and asking and knocking on the door saying, we need to look at your trees, we need to take the fruit off, allow them, because this is a really nasty fly and they haven't been able to find anything to help it. So this is some of the information that we give at the community garden. There's 3 pages of things that are affected by the fruit fly. So it's really, really important that people start understanding what our role is and what we can do to make sure that we stop having the fruit fly and making it just thrive.
Okay.
So it's really important, please, and thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to say that, because it is something that we will be talking about more and more.
Absolutely. No, thank you. I thought you had.
I got some questions for you. So is there, first off, you said every third Saturday of the month, for the whole year?
Yes.
Okay, so that way we can make sure to share that information on our council meeting on what's going on in Rialto.
Yes.
And lastly, so there's no prevention for it right now, because
They're asking, because I'm a farmer, they're asking all small farmers not to grow any product this year.
so are they asking to
There's,
cut off
like
all
I
the-
said, there's 3 pages. So like, I grow figs, I grow cardamom, I grow curry, I grow loquats as well as pomegranates. They're asking that I don't grow any of that. They're even asking that I don't grow squash. So there's a lot of stuff that it's going to impact everyone.
And what should the community be looking out for in terms of identifying?
The fly looks, it's a little fly that looks like, the tail looks like a wasp. So it's a little yellow tail. And so if it injects into the fruit or into the vegetable, that's where it starts mutating. And once it falls, the fruit or vegetable hits the ground, then they're able to continue to grow that from there. So it's really interesting. I will be giving some more information. Again, I started going to the Farm Bureau just because this is going to impact my life, but I realize it's impacting everybody because we will be having to bring fruit and vegetables in from other areas.
And is there a website that our community can go to try to get some more information? Because I know that there's a lot of citrus here, and also to be able to get the message out into a bilingual format.
I know it's the USDA. I will send it to the clerk. Yeah, because that's where it's at, but I don't have the website off the top of my head. But I will make sure that I get it to whomever so that you can turn around and get the information out. And a lot of stuff that we do is bilingual also, so we always have someone there that will speak Spanish as well as English.
Good, thank you for all that information.
You're so welcome.
Raphael, you have?
My comments for the staff, we have a lot of contractors. If you can give them information on this as well to the tree people who are contracting and providing fruit trees to our residents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You had one more oral communication? Just the one?
Oh, not anymore. No, they are for the consent and tab items.
Okay. All right, was there anyone else for oral communication may have missed? If not, we're going to go into the consent calendar.
The
And-
consent calendar, I do have two speakers to speak on the consent calendar.
Two people to speak?
To speak on C1 under the consent calendar.
Okay, all right.
You'd like for me to call them?
Madam
I
Mayor,
think there's some things that we wanted to
Okay.
pull before we could still hear them, but I think
Okay.
council has some concerns. I know I have something I'd like to pull, and I will, Councilmember Scott,
Yes.
you start with.
Okay, Madam Mayor, for separate discussion and a separate vote, I would like to pull consent calendar items E2, E4, E6, E7, and E8.
So to repeat that, E2, E4,
E2, E4, E6, E7, and E8. And the reason I'm pulling these items is they're over the amount that they should be to be on a consent calendar, and some of them are items that we should be more transparent on, and the community needs to have information on them.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I have one. I think it was the parameters of the budget. I'm trying to look for, is it around here somewhere? So I'd like to pull that out.
What?
Which one?
E1.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, it is.
E1?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd like to pull that.
Okay.
Thank you. And I had, well, one of mine was to pull I think it was E8. It has been covered. I also wanted to maybe have someone perhaps give some kind of explanation or added information on E3, extending the current grant, Omnitrans Measure 1 Regional Mobility Partnership. I think, again, this is something that I believe needs to be.
Are you pulling that too?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd like somebody to further speak to it.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, with that, I think you said you had someone who wanted to speak on one of the items?
Yes, on C1, I have Victoria Quisenberg and Stephanie Train.
Was it D1?
C1.
C1.
Same.
C1.
It's the claim.
Good
evening.
C1, okay.
Good evening, council members.
Evening.
My name is Stephanie Kane. I'm representing the damage claim number, GHC 0068880, tab C1. We filed a claim with the city on February 23rd, 2024, and we amended it March 13th, 2024. I just wanted to speak on some key points about that claim
Okay.
and let it be heard. This claim is regarding a conversion of personal property. We are requesting restitution for our claim for the city of Rialto in the amount of $492,474.85, which arises with each payment made for purported mortgage, of which we discovered was a sham transaction. Sorry to say, but it was a fraudulent mortgage. On May 14, 2003, the property director, who we discovered works for the city of Rialto, perpetrated as the president of the purported HOA and the owner of the unit that he sold us. He said it was a real property. We detrimentally relied on Vince Murphy. We treated him as family, like a father figure, because both of our parents have passed away from cancer. After living in the unit for 21 years and paying the payments continuously without any loans or modifications, working very hard, Victoria is my partner, a life partner of mine for 22 years. She's highly recognized in the field of law, and myself, I own my own company. And we're very good, reliable, nice people, and we're honest and trustworthy. So we assume we finished paying the mortgage off after 21 years living in this unit. We requested a payoff statement from our servicer. Instead of our request, we received forged documents that we did not sign and we never even seen before. That's when we had to start our investigation. And we discovered that the county of San Bernardino recorded 8 deeds of trust in my name that was forged, and 22 deeds of trust in her name that was forged. After digging deeper, we found the city of Rialto's housing element plan of 2000, wherein it clearly states that we are living in a property that is published as a vacant land. On March 21st, 2024, we spoke with Jessica with the initial of her last name starts with an N from the county tax assessor's office. Jessica looked up our parcel and she pulled up on her computer an amount of $9,653,026.67, of which she let us take a picture of her screen. She stated that the money was for the property taxes for a list of properties, which included our subdivision. The genuine material fact will prove that the subdivision was illegally built and the land is to be a vacant land. But we are being made to pay for a purported mortgage, which we also discovered we are paying a usury interest tax of 20%, and that is illegal. And a purported mortgage HOA's monthly for subdivision that is published to be a vacant land. We also discovered that the subdivision has the same tract map number 11264 as the subdivision in Orange County, which is in the city of La Habra. Pursuant to California Civil Code section 66428.11, there's no two subdivisions cannot have the same tract number. Further, articles that we discovered on the city's website portal dated September 21st, 1988, Section 2 states the specific and primary purposes for which this corporation is formed are to render assistance to the city of Rialto. The articles confirms that the corporation is the city of Rialto. On page 2, section C, it states to assign, transfer, mortgage, convey, entrust, and pledge and hypothecate the leasehold estate created by any such lease or lease back, and the rentals payable to the corporation under any such lease or lease back as security for any such bonds, debtness, notes, other evidence, and indebtedness, or other securities. We never signed any rental agreement. We never signed any such form or paper like that. We signed mortgage papers.
Okay. Miss Crane?
Kane, C-A-N-E.
Kane, I'm sorry. Kane.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. In the public comments, you have 5 minutes, and at the time had ran. This is a claim which
Yes.
you have filed.
Yes, ma'am.
And it will be processed with our legal administrators. But, you're definitely
Okay.
open to come and present your information right now, but it is here and it is.
Thank you so
records.
much.
So we'll
Thank
be
you.
we'll looked at with all the additional information that you've added.
I thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
It. Okay. Was that the only other one?
Yes, if she's not going to speak, I don't know.
Did you put in a separate one?
Yeah, they put in
Okay,
two separate.
two separate ones? Okay. All right, well, thank you. It is here, and it will be addressed. Thank you. Okay. So with that, was there any items that you wanted to act on or take and pull them? They're all to be handled in tab items to discussions, right? That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I'd like the department head that has each one of these items to come up and speak on them.
All right. Let's start with, what's the very first one? Was it E2? E2.
E1.
E1. Okay. Ms. Williams?
Yeah, so E1, so good evening, Mayor and City Council. E1 is a report from our city manager, David Carmody, on the status of our finance department, as well as some information about the upcoming budget process. So there is a request to approve the proposed annual budget calendar, as well as some budget goals that will be in the upcoming fiscal year 25 budget document. And the staff report, there's also some high-level updates on the status of the finance department. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Okay.
The reason I pulled it is it lists a number of kind of items for like, it's almost like a vision for our budget. And it's missing a lot of the items that, I feel as councilman we hold dearly, at least for myself. Never in here is there the word customer service or, business-friendly community in terms of the budget. And so I wanted to see if we could kind of work kind of something in there to that fact, to that end. It talks about kind of the budget more kind of, and I get it that it's more of a big kind of idea, but there's a lot of values that come with the budget. One of them is, making sure that it's manageable and that we are able to forecast as well, or be able to account for the future of the city. And so I just wanted to make sure that some of those values are in there. I would have preferred kind of a one-on-one with all of us to kind of talk about some of the ideas and input that we all have. I'm under the impression that there was really no kind of contact on this. So I just wanted to put that out there and see if maybe we could rework it and maybe have like a PowerPoint presentation on it for the community as well. That's how we kind of envision this.
So is there a Councilmember Scott for?
And I don't want to address the envisioning statement. Councilmember Trujillo already did, but as far as the budget calendar, it's really not much of a calendar. I'd like to see some actual dates. I see nothing in here about workshops for the city council. I do see public hearings, but I think we should try to establish some dates so we can move the budget forward in a productive manner. That's all I have.
Okay, and I guess for me, my comments were, saw this as a document moving forward for the 24-25 budget, but I have some concerns because I haven't seen the one for, well, 24-25, but again, I have to echo some of the same points, is that I'm not seeing a conversation or a schedule where we're building this thing. So I would ask that this action be tabled. I mean, a recommendation, if it's a motion needed, I don't think it's in a
I'll second
position
it.
to go forward. Okay, so I'm moving that E1 be, motion to table it, and a second by Councilmember Trujillo. Okay. And then the next one, any objections, or would you like,
No, just, you asked us any objections.
now, any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, next one is what, E2?
E3?
Okay.
Yes.
Kidding.
Madam Mayor, E2 relates to labor negotiations with one or more of our labor groups, and we would just like to be transparent with our community, and when we give our excellent and good employees rate increases and adjust their compensation, we think the community should know about it. So if you could just briefly go through those items and what they are.
Of course.
I am in total support of it.
Of course. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, and members of the City Council. So before you tonight is for consideration is the Rialto City Employee Association Memorandum of Understanding, which establishes the compensation and related benefits. The recommendation is to approve the resolution for this MOU, as well as approve Resolution Number 8198, updating the classification and compensation plan for those employees represented by RCEA, and approve Resolution Number 8199, which would amend the 2023-24 fiscal year budget for a budget appropriation in the amount of $346,004. The city management representatives and RCA had 12 productive and collaborative meetings, which recently ended in March of this year. The proposed MOU is a 2-year term beginning retroactive to July 1, 2023, and ending through June 30th, 2025. The proposed MOU provides a 6% cost of living adjustment retroactive to July 1, 2023, and another 5% cost of living adjustment at July 1, 2024. There is also an additional $250 a month medical benefit allowance given to only those employees who currently utilize all of their current medical benefit amounts. Any remaining cash for this $250 will not be given as taxable income. The only other monetary ancillary item specific to this group was the EMS coordinator and construction inspector being added to the classifications that receive the uniform and boot allowance. The fully burdened cost is projected to be $771,642 for the 2-year agreement. This cost includes the CalPERS retirement, as well as any associated costs tied to salary and benefits. So with that, I will turn it over to you for any questions.
And just for the record, the reason that you're going back to July of 2023 is because that's when the contract begins, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
And I would move approval. Second. Of resolutions 8197, 8198, and 8199.
It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Baca to move on those resolutions. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now, thank you. E3.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. The item before you is requesting council to ratify the submission of a grant application to Omnitrans for their continuing partner application extending the current grant Omnitrans Measure I Regional Mobility Partnership Program for fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26. On April 12, 2022, City Council authorized the submission of a grant application for the RMP program. The application, we did get awarded. On July 14th, we were notified of the award. September 13th, 2022, City Council accepted the grant funds. Unfortunately, we have not been successful in completing the actual purchase of the vans to launch our transportation program. Thus, why we're requesting to resubmit our application so that the funding that we were awarded in fiscal year 22-23 and 23-24 can then be used for these upcoming 2-year cycles, so we can try to attempt again to launch this transportation program for our senior community and our disabled community.
Okay, thank you. I was, oh,
Yeah.
did you have a question? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So back then, it was diesel. It was like the last kind of part of the timeline for diesel. Does this extension include electric?
So it's basically the same transportation
Okay.
vehicles that we had originally applied for. This is just the way that they were able to roll over those funds because they don't have a rollover program. They asked us to resubmit an application so we can still continue to try to launch the current program we had been awarded for.
So I knew there was a deadline for us to do like diesel before going, I mean, there was like a specific date where our purchasing had for diesel, and then after a certain date, I thought it was electric, but you're saying that that date doesn't exist?
Not for us.
Okay.
Omni notified us at the end of February, right when applications were going to be due, because they did want us to be able to continue to try to launch this program. So it was a last-minute request to submit an application. Had we had this information or request earlier, we would have done more research so we could have gone back to trying to get an electric vehicle, but we weren't afforded that opportunity. So in an effort to try to launch what we had tried to commit to the last 2 years, it's essentially the same application.
Okay, and I heard other cities are having similar
They are,
issues too.
they are.
Not unique to us. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, is there any
Councilmember.
possibility of still applying for electric vehicles in the future too as well, through additional grants?
We could in the next cycle, or we could submit an amendment to the grant application if we get awarded, and it would have to go before Omnitrans for a vote, and there's a possibility that they may say no. So we would have to change our complete grant application. Right now, the application is just for gas vehicles.
That's correct. But if we did, it gives us that opportunity, and it's up to them to decide whether they want to change the modification to grant us the ability to purchase electric vehicles, which then would be a lot better for a lot of us in terms of the smog that's created by those other vehicles.
We could look into that for the future next 2-year cycle to add to the program once we launch it. I would just be afraid that because there's such a delay in getting these vehicles manufactured just at the gas level, I'm assuming the delay for the electric vehicles would be even further.
Would these be hybrid vehicles that we would be getting, or just?
For this round, no, they're just straight gas.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then my question was, as I was reading this and looking at the fact that we weren't able to move forward in the first grant, if I understood, we got a 2-year cover, and so we didn't really get to move due to what you said, couldn't get it off the ground because of delay in getting the vehicles. Had we budgeted money in the 23-24?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I see that here, you're talking about you have a grant and we're moving it, are we moving that money that we didn't expend, or, because it also says now you've added money that we're putting into the budget for fiscal year 24-25?
Right, so each year that this grant would have covered, we did make sure to budget our grant match percentage in the materials and supply, the labor portion, and the capital improvement section of the budget. So that's been approved in the last 2-year budgets that we've had for the city. It is requested in what we're gonna be talking about in this upcoming year as well. If for some reason we don't get the grant, then we would notify.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand, because we had received the grant, we had the money, but the vehicle wasn't there. So did we just move the money forward?
So we don't have the money. It's based on reimbursement. We've basically allocated in accounts, and as soon as we can make a purchase or launch the program, then we would start invoicing Omnitrans, and they would start reimbursing that money. So it is
Okay.
allocated in the books. However, we would be,
It's reimbursable.
Correct.
You have to bill against it. All right, okay, that, just again, with my concerns with where we are with mid-year, haven't really looked at that yet. And I was just trying to track, make sure exactly if it's going to be reimbursable or if we were budgeting and we pulling against a grant. So with that, motion, I'll move to,
Second.
move it, and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Thank you. And no objections. Okay.
Hello, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is E4. First of all, I just want to say thank you, Councilmember Scott, for pulling this item, because I think it's really important that Council knows that you've asked for it ever since the SROs went away, and I think it's really vitally important for us to bring them back. We've been working with the Rialto Unified School District since September to develop a plan for bringing SROs back on campus. They've requested it. Remember, they went away because of COVID. At RUSD's request, the contract that was in effect at that point was also terminated, and we brought those officers back and redeployed them in our patrol division. At that time, we actually told RUSD that in the event you wanted to bring the SROs back in the future, where the city was paying for 2 of those officers and they were paying for 1, that they would have to then incur the entire cost, fully burdened rate for all 3 officers if that's what they wanted to bring back. In September, as I said, we entered into some negotiations with RUSD. They've requested us to bring them back. We told them it was going to take us a year to hire those 3 officers because we didn't want to take them out of our patrol team at that point to impact the rest of the city. They agreed, and they will be, like I say, purchasing or actually paying for 3 additional officers for our police department. And we're asking council to add 3 additional officers to our staffing model so it doesn't impact what you've already provided for us in the past. We're set to at least put those into the schools beginning in August of this year to stay in agreement. This contract has already gone before the board, and now it's here for your approval. It's fully burdened rate. The amount right now currently is $596,495.36. Regardless of the current labor negotiations, RSD understands that based on that, the fully burdened rate would just increase. This is a 5-year contract. In the event, because sometimes from a financial perspective, what happens if they cancel the contract again, or after 5 years, what do we do with those 3 officers? And I would simply tell you the things I've told you in the past is we would just absorb them through attrition in the department. I don't anticipate that happening. We have been really burdened and impacted in our patrol division with the extraordinary amount of calls for service per day in the schools that has actually taken our officers out of patrol, and it's impacted the community. So this is going to be a win for everybody. We'll have a lot more education on campuses, much more visual display of officers there. It's going to be more helpful to students, build relationships, at the same time provide safety, not impacting the community. I'll be happy to answer questions that you have.
Councilmember Scott?
Chief Kling, I just want to thank you for negotiating this. I know it was a tough negotiation, and but I do believe, based on what I see on social media, that our community will be happy to hear that the officers are going back into the schools. I know there's a number of issues almost on a weekly basis that are occurring at the schools. Most of the time, they're not real situations, but when somebody calls and says they're going to bring a gun to a school, then you have to respond. So I'm very happy to see that we're putting resource officers back in our school district. Thank you.
I think it's been a great partnership again with RUSD.
I think it offers a good opportunity to kind of get ahead of emergencies. where we have emergencies on campus, it gives us a lot more communication during those times of trying to coordinate with the campus. So I just wanted to say thank you for being, trying to lead and trying to get this back, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Councilmember Baca.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff Tlain, for bringing this before us. I think it's positive, it's good, it's a win-win situation for Rialto Unified School District and for our department too as well, because we're increasing not only the numbers of police officers or resource officers that we have, but also the 3 additional ones that they're going to be providing funding. So that's a total of 6. Is that correct?
3, sir.
3, only 3?
Yes, just
Not
3,
6?
for now.
For now, okay. But I think it's good in terms of public safety. I think we have the responsibility to Rialto Unified School District and the city of Rialto to make sure that it's safe and sound. And a lot of our parents want to make sure that when they're letting their kids go to school is that we have someone that is patrolling the area and providing any kind of assistance that they may need. Timing is everything. If we're not there to respond on an immediate basis, a lot of things can happen. It's just a matter of seconds that someone can get hurt, get shot, get killed, get stabbed, or a fight that may occur in the area. Having the additional resources, resource officers will help us provide the additional public safety to our schools and make our parents feel a lot better and make our city feel good to know that we care about the whole city and Rialto Unified School District is part of our city. So thank you very much for bringing it forward. And with that, I'd like to move it.
Okay, but duly noted, but Mayor
Thank you,
Pro
Madam.
Tem had his.
Yes,
item.
Chief, thanks for bringing this and following this through. It's been a while since we've been without officers. The community has spoken, and they've been speaking for a minute, so I'm glad to see that this relationship is now finally back in, and that we're going to be able to not only have that engagement with the school district, but just kind of help them out with some of the difficult issues that are coming up right now with social media and all the resources that we have through the back end of social media channels and all the technologies that we have as the police department to be able to help out with the needs that are there. So I really thank you for, and I want to thank the school district for moving forward, because it was their decision to not have our officers in their schools, and it's now their decision to bring us back on with that partnership, and I really look forward to us getting back in there and keeping our community safe. But thank you for following up with this and making sure that we have a good contract with them, that we're solid, and that we have good resources there and a good helping hand here from the police department. We're always there because they are still our school, but it's good to have that relationship. It's good to have those boots on the ground and to continue to really foster that relationship with the students and our police department. So I look forward to that, and thank you.
Thank you for your persistence.
Yeah, I know we have a motion on the floor, and I think I heard a second, but I first want to take the moment to commend Councilmember Scott for pulling this, and he pulled it in a comment. We all are looking at things that anything that's over $100,000, you really should be on our agenda as a tab, and it should be a discussion so that we be fully transparent. And this is one of the reasons why we pulled a couple of things. The amounts are amazing, but more importantly for me, I know we've been having this ongoing conversation after COVID and pandemic, and no, not even before COVID. I don't know if it's COVID or what. It was also with the whole uprising, the George Floyd, to defund the police, and our school district all of a sudden felt that they wanted to not be in that lane. And I'm glad that they've realized that it's important to have the level of observation and engagement in our school districts. Yesterday, last night, when I got home and settled in, one of the news items that caught me was about the young man over in San Bernardino that was going to San Bernardino High, and I guess a week ago, he went outside in between on 13th and F. There'd already been a warning. Somebody had threw a rock through the family's window, And the parents were concerned, and didn't want him to go out. And, because it was apparent it was something bullying and something going on. And he went out. And then within minutes, he was dead. They're out there now doing a GoFundMe. And I think it's the behavior sometimes that's not only on campuses, but off campuses. And so seeing this today, I looked at the amount, $596,000, that's over $600,000. It's an investment. And so I just wanted to speak to that, because one of the things we didn't have in this report, and you said it though briefly, is how many calls we were receiving. And I know it was a lot. And it's hard for us to be reactive when we have an opportunity to be proactive. So that's my comments. I know that you made the motion, and Councilmember Scott, you have a comment.
Madam Mayor, I see a representative from the school district in the back that maybe wants to speak. Oh, your next item?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought you were with the school district. Sorry about that.
You're going to see her in a minute, sir.
Okay. Probably. I didn't think there was anyone else, but these are the other things that people could speak to. So there's a motion on the floor, and was there someone that second? And seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Thank you for taking the time. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank
And now, thank you, Chief. Next one is E6. Is that?
Madam Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, so I
Another
actually have the honor of having E6. I also want to say thank you so much, Councilmember Scott, for polling E6. And I think it goes without saying, I think all of the department heads here are happy that we're able to actually express these items to you tonight. So E6 is basically asking for your consideration of a 3-year contract agreement with San Bernardino City Animal Services. And the total amount for fiscal year 2024 through 28 is going to be $1,643,601. And in brief, you all know that we went to Riverside County Animal Sheltering Services a few years ago. In August of 23, we received notification from Riverside County indicating that they were not going to continue our contract past June of this year, which means we have no place to take our animals through our animal control effective July 1st. We have tried desperately to work arrangements with the County of San Bernardino to get us back reacquainted with DeVore Shelter. They frankly said they did not have the room. We've worked with the County of San Bernardino exclusively to a point where San Bernardino County officials met with Rialto PD officials along with Colton officials to try to figure out some type of cost sharing. And that cost sharing included the fact that San Bernardino County would staff animal sheltering, but we as a city would need to find a location. We did our due diligence looking for a facility, but that also entails, trying to figure out what to do with animal waste, what happens after this contract would expire, because the County of San Bernardino is currently in the process of designing a building or a facility in Bloomington. So it's just not come to fruition yet. And then all of a sudden, the city of San Bernardino not only helped the city of Fontana, along with a total of 5 agencies, including Colton, just recently, Grand Terrace, and Loma Linda. We're the only city that has not taken the opportunity to work with San Bernardino City with this. So we think it's going to be a win for our residents. It's a little closer than it is going to Riverside. San Bernardino City is in the process of building a brand new shelter themselves. This is going to be a 3-year contract, and we're asking council to also approve 2 one-year extensions. We will pay for a portion, which is only about 14% of the share of those cities combined, in addition to San Bernardino City. We have taken a tour of their facility. It is a little dated, but it is extremely clean. And the San Bernardino City staff, I have Chris here, she'll ask her any questions that you may have, but We're extremely impressed, and more importantly, the building, we talked about partnerships with RUSD, the partnership with San Marino City. It's a different organization than it was a few years ago, and we're really excited for it only being about 15 minutes away from our city, not 35 minutes away. I think Riverside worked for us well, but in the time of where we are right now, paying a little over $4 million a year to the county and not having anything tangible, to where here it'll roughly be around a little over $500,000 a year for us to even include the cost of kenneling, kenneling building costs with that. It's just a win for us, and I would hope that you would agree and approve the contract. And again, Chris is here to answer any questions that you might have about shelter services and what benefit it's going to be for the city of Rialto.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Scott.
Again, Chief, I want to thank you for bringing this forward and clearly working on a tough topic. I mean, we've addressed this topic many times, but more importantly, I want to thank the city of San Bernardino for working with Rialto and other cities. This is a kind of cooperation and relationships we should be developing in other areas with our surrounding cities. So maybe this is an indication of good things to come. So City of San Bernardino, we certainly want to thank you.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to serve.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yeah, again, thank you, Chief, and thank you for City of San Marino for stepping up. I just wanted to kind of maybe get a small, brief update on, what has changed since last time we've been there.
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer your questions. We've done some major changes over the past few years. I am the first director of the department. The department no longer sits under the police department. It reports directly to the city manager. We've been working on a lot of community engagement and resources to put back into the community, and as well as public education, and this contract covers that. So in animal sheltering, what they've discovered over the past few years is that it really is more like a social service model. It has some strong ties to public health, and so for us to serve the community, we also, with COVID, everybody wanted pets. Well, now that they're in their homes, in this region, there's a lack of access to affordable vet care, which produces a lot of the problems that we see here with overpopulation, people struggling to keep up with their pets, getting their pets altered. And so for us, we're trying to fill in that gap and offer those services to the community. We're partnering with nonprofits in order to get the costs down. We've received grant funding for programs and services. We received council approval in December of last year to establish a nonprofit foundation to actively fundraise to cover the cost of a lot of these programs and services that we're trying to roll out to the community. And so the dynamic is very different. It's not enforcement. We're just going to take those animals in and we're going to hold them. We're going to help the community understand what their role in all of this is, how they can help reduce the number of animals, throughout the city, what they can do on their own to be proactive in reducing pet overpopulation and how that ties into community health. So that's one of the brief things. I know right now, as Chief said, our shelter is a little old, but we're through this partnership, we're working on bringing in some temporary buildings that will potentially be able to move with us to the permanent shelter site. We are on about 2.6 acres right now. The property that we're looking at to move to is over 6 acres. So there's plenty of room to grow. And again, it's more of, this is a community center. We want people to come in and be part of the solution for animal services to build a better future for this whole region.
Any more?
So I'll move.
Well, no, I
question.
think
Second.
there's some others over here. Starting with Councilmember.
Yes, Chief Klain, if you could get back up there. You mentioned Bloomington, the possibility that they will have a animal shelter. Do you know when they would complete their animal shelter?
In our conversations with the county, it's in right around 3 years from now. They have not broke ground yet, so that's why I say this contract will be at least for 3 years. depending on, any type of delays that the county may face, we would start discussing options with the county when this contract is about to end, but we'd also talk to the city of San Bernardino to see what that's going to do for us.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned with, is when the county of San Bernardino builds the additional animal shelter that would have a lot of room, I wanted to make sure that when we evaluate and look at the contract that we're signing with San Bernardino for 3 years with 2 more years options on there?
Yes, 2 one-year
Yeah,
options.
is that we're cost effective in our decision making, and if there's a possibility that San Bernardino County would be able to provide those kind of services. And you said 3 years, but if it was going to be sooner, I was going to ask the question, is there a buyout on the contract that we have, or a way that we would be able to get out of the contract to get into the Bloomington?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. In our conversations with the county of San Bernardino, it was guaranteed to us that it would be a minimum of 3 years. And that's why we're comfortable entering into this agreement for 3 years. And then look at that point and evaluate costs between the two agencies or organizations to see if it's going to be more beneficial to the city of Rialto.
Yeah, because I know that pets are very important to a lot of the families and people that own pets. I know that I've had 2 beagles, and we're always looking for a shelter or somewhere that if something happens that you can take your pet. And that's a pet. It's like a family member to many of the individuals, and they're very dear to them. And so I was just very much concerned with the 3-year agreement and with the possibility of Bloomington being available in the future. Will we be making the right kind of a decision in the cost effectiveness of a contract? But since you stated that that's when it would be built, I'm okay with it, But if not, then I was hoping that somewhere in the contract that there was a way out.
Yeah, we would bring that discussion back to council at the end of 3 years if their building goes as scheduled. But before any types of extensions, we would certainly bring that back for discussion here with cost comparisons between the two organizations.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, I thought you had a comment. I'm sorry. Well, I'm just want to say, as you can see, this is a conversation, though, that a lot of us, we all have pets. And not only that, sometimes when I think about the continuum of care, concerns and homelessness, one of the big issues is sometimes the person, the only thing they have left is the pet, the unconditional love of a pet. And so I'm excited that we have managed to work this out. I've even adopted a rescue from the city of San Bernardino. She was named Liberty, but unfortunately, she, at the time, you never know when you're getting a dog, even though checked that she had parvo, and I had to take her back. You guys took her back. But I always think about, her name was Liberty because I had liberated her from the shelter. And I hope that one of the concerns I think some people are always concerned about is the compassion versus kill. And I'm hoping that that gets addressed and changed. Then my other question is, you talked about a 6-acre site, and I just wondered where that 6-acre site would be.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So last year, despite the challenges with an increasing population of dogs, we had an 85% save rate for dogs in our care, which is comparable to other shelters in the area. We have a whole policy and procedure that we put into place so that we're communicating actively with our rescue groups. When we're looking at, the subject of euthanasia, and that's a difficult conversation to have, we look at animals that are having behavior challenges that may not be safe to be adopted straight out to the public. We ask rescue groups to come in and assist us with those. Animals that may be too sick or ill to place with the community. You mentioned parvo. That's one of those things that we get hit with every year. And we're hoping that by rolling out free vaccines to the community, we're going to see a decline in those cases overall in the future. And so for us, it's really how do we, again, get that community involved so that we can help support them to keep their pets if they need some assistance. And if we do have to take those animals in because the shelter is the best place for them, how do we do right by them by looking at evaluations. What does their behavior look like? We have a volunteer coordinator and foster coordinator, and we'll be adding some more to that group. We have volunteers that come in and do regularly large dog play groups at the shelter. We do that at least twice a week. That helps us with the behavior for the dogs. We get to know if they're dog friendly, so it's easier to place them. So those are things that we're actively working on and looking at industry best practices in order to implement those. And again, try and get as many animals out that are safe to place in the community and healthy out into homes. So that's one of the initiatives that we're working on. And then the site that we're looking at, it is city-owned property. It's at the corner of Washington and Orange Show Road. Okay. So their bowling alley is right there. It's across the street. It'll be a lot easier to access. Right now, we're kind of hidden back behind Target, unfortunately. So it's a little hard to get to. But that property, we've looked at, our Public Works Department has looked at. We actually have a preliminary design for that property. And once we get through this and we're up and running with all of you guys this July, the hope is to look at that preliminary design, see what needs to be added, if you guys would like to come along with us and start working on a final design so that we can get that built.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it because the other thing, we talk about pets, but one thing, one of our residents, and I won't call her name out, it's contacted me about cats. And I think between your shelter and our animal control, we need to figure out a way where we can get back to what something we used to do, which was providing the cages and then working to get them neutered and returned back to. So great. I'm glad it's just the distance alone is a win-win. So thank you very much. And with that, I believe we had a motion.
You have a motion in a second.
Okay. And so is there any?
Motion by Trujillo and
seconded by?
Babaka. That's
okay?
what I have.
All right. Okay. He didn't. No,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
See.
What do I need to put? Because when you tell me what I need to write for the record.
Well, I never did hear a second, so that's why. So, okay.
Okay.
Well,
So,
Thank you,
Mayor
Council.
Pro Tem, any objections? None. Hearing none. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Chief. Okay. Next item. E7.
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. Item E7 is asking for your consideration of award of a professional services agreement with Alta Planning and Design in the amount of $903,383 for the Pacific Electric Trail Extension Project Design Services, and to authorize the city manager to execute all documents. The goal of the project is to extend the PE Trail from Cactus Avenue to Pepper Avenue. This is a total of 1.75 miles. The project scope includes the construction of a multi-use trail, the installation of a barrier fence, signs, lighting, and ADA-compliant curb ramps. So tonight we're here as a result of a request for proposal that was released on January 29th, 2024. This was posted on the city's website, the local newspaper, and on Planet Bids. After reviewing the proposals, so we received a total of 4 proposals, which were reviewed. The list of the firms are included on your staff report. After reviewing the proposals, Alta Planning and Design was identified as a top-ranked firm. The recommendation from staff is that the City Council approves a new professional services agreement with Alta in the amount of $903,838 for the design of the project. The approval of this agreement is consistent with the milestones and funding as set on the ATP grant that was awarded. This concludes my presentation. Staff, along with representatives from Alta Planning, who are in the audience, are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Councilmember Scott.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would hope that we could move this project along in an expeditious manner so we can get this trail done. It's one of the, the existing trail is certainly a treasure of Rialto, and a lot of people still don't even know it's there. So if we can get a police station under construction as quick as we've done,
We should be.
we should be able to get this trail to move just as quick. And it will certainly improve a big eyesore in the middle of Rialto. So I would hope that we would focus on it and move it forward as quickly as possible.
Okay.
No,
Councilmember Trio.
Yeah, again, thank you for working on this and moving it forward. One question I have is, there's at least one mobile home park on that direction, and just wanted to make sure that you had easily accessible kind of paths to the trail from that mobile home park. I know there might be others in there, and the only reason I ask that is because I've had the experience of kind of talking with neighbors that are not even 2 blocks away from the current existing trail, and they don't even know that it even exists there. So I'd like something more accessible for communities like that are adjacent, so that they can easily have access to it and have more knowledge of its existence.
Yeah, so I've made a note of that, and all of those will be vetted out through the design phase.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm excited about this. This is going to really bring it down into Riverside Avenue and into highlight of all the community that doesn't go west to Cedar. But I'd also suggest that if the mayor or my colleagues want to do this, to have a subcommittee to make sure that all the things that are being designed, that it's what the council really, the vision that the council has, instead of just going through their design without any input from us. And I would volunteer to be on the subcommittee for that.
Okay, so yes, actually, the project is complemented with a non-infrastructure component. This is the establishment of a stakeholder committee. So I'll keep that in our notes here. Once that gets established, staff will be in contact and coordinate with Tanya and for council to be a part of that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, but I guess I would just also underscore, we have subcommittees. And as Mayor Pro Tem was asking me, I'm not opposed to it. I think we should definitely have it where it is a subcommittee and it's reported. Part of this trail becomes not only a place of enhancement, but it's still a wonderful economic added benefit to our community. So we had this discussion on Monday, and I know that Mayor Pro Tem has some particular things that he would like to see, and I want to encourage. We've had Alta planning before, and we worked well. This is a $7.8 million project grant. We need to act on these grants, because we let them sometimes get to a point where we're almost losing them. This is one. I have 2 questions, maybe 3, but 2, have we found out yet the status of the decommission and the action with Union Pacific? Because over a year ago, they had taken it and put the application before a subcommittee under the Federal Rail Administration. And Ms. Valdez, Lupe Valdez, who's over Southern California, told me it was going to be heard of March of this year. And now we're already in April. So I would love to hear from somebody following up to know what that status is. And then because we are looking at the Foothill Plan and the Central Plan conversation, we need to make sure that there's an opportunity for a community to have input and outreach. I was at the Historical Society Saturday, and everybody sees the opportunity, even you've mentioned the mobile home parks, of this being a really amazing piece. This will go from Cactus all the way to our East City line. So folks are engaged. They would like to have opportunities to input, and I think that's what Alta planning is about, to make sure we get as many people's inputs and opportunities to keep people abreast of what we're doing on this project. This is fantastic. So with that,
Mayor, could I?
If you don't mind, I'd like to just add that I think this is a good thing for the city of Rialto. Not only will it create a healthy environment, and I think that's what we've got to look at, is the trail itself would and then the beautification of it too as well, that would create, in reference to the, 1.3 miles extension of the trail. And along those sides, I know that there's going to be a committee that'll be there, but it would be nice if we had like an exercise type of area during that trail that individuals may be able to, as they're walking and doing, that they can exercise.
And I think that's exactly what Mayor Pro Tem mentioned to Supervisor Baca Jr. when we met with him on Monday. He had actually an area that he felt would be an appropriate stopping point. He was very detailed and specific.
Fantastic.
So that's why he's volunteering, okay?
And I'll move for approval.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales and seconded by Councilmember Baca. Did I hear that? Any objections? And I'm sorry, Tanya, Ms.
I was
Williams.
just going to suggest, Mayor, if part of the motion would be to include a recommendation to create an ad hoc committee, if that was the interest of the council.
Yes.
If there was another council member who was interested besides the Mayor Pro Tem in participating. So if we wanted to,
Who is it?
to do a substitute motion to create the ad hoc committee to.
I'm sure, did you want to be on that?
Okay.
And I would just recommend that the ad hoc committee, we'd get an update periodically to the EDC. And we put that on our subcommittee because it is a part of the economic vitality of our community.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any objections to the motion? Hearing none? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. So we took care of that one, and I believe, did we have E8? Very, very.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Item E8 before you is requesting to adopt resolution number 8200, amending fiscal year 2023-2024 budget and appropriating 1.5 million from Capital Improvements Projects Fund 300. Award a construction contract to Calmex Engineering in the amount of $8,064,168.78 for the various streets Phase 2 project. Authorize a purchase order to Prescience Corporation in the amount of $1,552,855 pursuant to their on-call agreement for construction management, inspection, and materials testing services, and to delegate authority to the city manager to approve contract change orders in the amount of $1.5 million, to authorize the city manager to execute all documents. On November 15, 2022, the City Council awarded a construction contract to Managed Corporation in the amount of $18,155,605.28 for bid schedules A, B, and C for the various streets reconstruction project. Bid schedules D and E were not awarded as the low bid for all bid schedules A, B, C, D, and E exceeded the available budget at the time. Various Streets Phase 2 primarily consists of street segments within bid schedule D of the original Various Streets project. Various Streets Phase 2 consists of the following: Boner Avenue from Cedar to Ayala Drive, Easton Street from Arrowhead Avenue to Brampton Avenue, Etowanda Avenue from Cactus Avenue to Lilac Avenue, Etowanda Avenue from Maple Avenue to Cedar Avenue, Eucalyptus Avenue from Walnut Avenue to Baseline Road, Eucalyptus Avenue from Mill Street to Carter Street, Lilac Avenue from Foothill to Rialto Avenue, Randall Avenue from Riverside Avenue to Sycamore Avenue, Sycamore Avenue from Wilson Street to Merrill Avenue. The Various Streets Phase 2 project was presented to the Water Subcommittee as requested by Council on March 27th to discuss the coordination with Water for upcoming CIP and confirm that Acacia Avenue from Rialto Avenue to Merrill Avenue and Etowanda Avenue from Sycamore Avenue to Eucalyptus Avenue will be delayed in anticipation of upcoming water infrastructure work. On December 11, 2023, the city released a request for bids for the project and received 4 bids. Staff found Calmex to be appropriately licensed and qualified as the lowest responsible and responsive bid in the amount of $8,064,168.70. On April 12, 2022, the City Council approved an on-call agreement with Prescience Corporation for construction management, inspection, and materials testing services. Staff reviewed and recommends approval of the proposal provided by Prescience in the amount of $1,552,855 to provide the required construction-based services through the duration of the project. Funds are budgeted and available and are detailed in the financial impact staff report. I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Scott?
Thank you for your presentation, and you're correct, this did come to the Water Subcommittee. I think it actually came to EDC also, but my question to you is, most of these streets are in more residential neighborhoods than the previous streets we've done over the last couple of years. And I just want to make sure that we're going to give residents plenty of notice, plenty of warning, and try to make their life as least miserable as possible by making sure that they have access to and from their homes and whatnot. So I think it's going to take a little extra attention than maybe Riverside Avenue did or Cedar Avenue, because it is in residential areas. And it will impact some people, but hopefully temporarily, and hopefully on the weekends we'll open up the streets for them and just make their life less miserable.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, the streets will be in the residential areas. CalMex did our Riverside South project. There was a lot of coordination with the businesses down there, so I don't see coordination being an issue here.
I had a question. Mayor Pro Tem? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I see that some areas are near schools. I just want to make sure that those areas are really well cleaned up after each day, and that they're well signaled, and that anything that's of danger to some of these elementary schools, that it's really taken care of, because some of that stuff has not happened in the past. So let's make sure that every day when they're done, that they pick up and that they really cone everything off, and they leave no room for any accidents in the area.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. My concerns and comments are more on the dollars and the numbers I looked at, and I'm sorry. One, we had an engineering estimate of $6 million. This project is over $8,064,000. And as I read through all of this, I'm seeing that we're also asking for a budget resolution to move $1.5 million out of the general fund for contingency, which I've always had concerns with putting that out there. We got 10% normally, but 1.5. I don't seem to recall when we did see this project that we talked about that it was going to need to be moving 1.5 million out of general fund and do a budget resolution. I don't see anything to say that where do we have that funds to come from general fund. So I'm wondering. I would really want to know, why are we putting that? If the low bid was $8,064,000 and the estimate was $6 million, we're off by $2 million, but we immediately put $1.5 million in there. Somewhere in there, I'm just having a concern, and I would hope that we move this forward, but not act on the budget resolution just yet until we understand exactly what general funds we have and what we're pulling from. Because there was a number of points in here where we had pulled from general fund once before, and I don't have any data to say what's the current status of, and I don't think you would know, Art. You're not. Yeah, I'm not looking to you. Again, I'm having to look to a financial side to say, where are we pulling? What is the number in general fund now, and where are we pulling it from? And that's where. So I would like to have a proceed with the project, but not have. And if the document is there and it's not here, that's even that much more discerning for me.
Well,
I see some. See. Is it here in this package? No. And so we just can't say we're going to do a budget resolution and take $1.5 million out of the general fund, and I don't even know a balance on the general fund. And thank you, City Treasurer, for last council meeting when we got into pulling from the general fund, but nobody's really telling us where's the assurance and the dollar accountability for me to know what's in the general fund and doing a budget resolution, not out of next year's budget, but out of this year's budget. So if I can have a motion that I will move on the action without a contingency of 1.5 million. Again, I'm going to say to the community and the public, part of the reason we pulled these things is we have a policy that anything that is going to be over 100,000 should not be on a consent calendar. And the reason we pull all this is things that we've talked about today all have gone basically a standing policy that the managers, all the city managers have always had authority for over 100,000, up to 100,000. And this is 8.6. It should not be on a consent calendar. And then asking for 1.5 million in contingency. So that is my motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. To move with the project until we understand that we are assured we have a 1.5 million to pull out of this year's budget, out of general fund, we will proceed with authorization of moving on this project, because the bid was $8,064,168.70. That should be adequate enough money to get started.
So I can address the difference between the estimate and the 8 million. So
I'm sorry, speak up, I can't hear you.
I can address the difference between the engineer's estimate and the 8 million. So we've experienced significantly higher unit.
Oh, I understand. I get that. I'm just saying,
For asphalt.
you're pulling it, you're asking for a contingency of 1.5 million. I don't have the numbers to show me what's in my general fund. That's all I'm saying. Engineering estimate generally is something, it's an area where it's about 15% up or down. Then I think they're in the ballpark. The estimate was 6 million, and we ended up with a bid of 8.2. So our engineering estimate is a little low. The project came in. That's not my issue. It's the money. Making a budget resolution to pull 1.5 million out of the general fund, and I don't have any documentation other than that, walking up right now with a document to hand, which should be in this staff report. So there's a motion on the floor to proceed without a contingency at this point, and we'll bring it back. Any objections to the motion?
I second it.
He seconded. Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and Madam City Clerk, I don't recall hearing a motion for the other consent calendar items.
No, not yet.
I think we pulled out everything off of
No,
consent.
we still have some on there, but I was going
Okay.
back to
Madam
that.
Mayor, move to approve the remaining consent calendar items.
Second.
It was been moved by Councilmember Scott, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Carosellas. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries.
And Mayor, just for the record, that's item A, B1, B2, C1 through C7, D1, and E5.
On consent.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go into tab 1.
Now we're on to new business.
New business. And are you going to present on
Mayor,
that?
I will present this item. As council will remember, on January 9th, the council had an opportunity to provide comments to the State Assembly's Local Government Committee with regard to Assembly Bill 1000. You'll remember that Assembly Bill 1000 was the bill that would have severely limited logistic and warehouse uses within San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Councilmember Trujillo had discovered the day before the council meeting on January 8th that comments had to be in and presented to that committee by January 10th. Our council meeting was on January 9th. Given those facts, the council added this item as a tab item for discussion to the regular agenda under the provision in the Brown Act for items of subsequent need, and then subsequently heard that item at the end of its agenda, allowed public comment, and gave direction. On March 14th, we received a letter from the Channel Law Group representing the Committee for Environmental and Community Justice, alleging that that was an improper act under the Brown Act. As we know, we had the facts. We're comfortable that it was a legal action to add that item. However, the Brown Act does have a provision that allows members of the public to challenge actions. That's what the cease and desist letter does. But the Brown Act also provides city councils an opportunity to provide a response letter committing to adhere to the Brown Act and not repeat any violation. And it also states that when you do that, you're not admitting any fault. We don't believe that we violated the Brown Act here. But if we provide this letter, then it cuts off any potential lawsuit based on a Brown Act violation by the Channel Law Group and the entity that they represent. There is a recommended letter in the packet. That letter tracks with the required language that's in the Brown Act section, and we would recommend that you approve that letter and authorize us to send it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address those at this time. Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion? Any questions? If not,
I have some comments.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure with staff that we put, I think the reason we even had to do this in the first place is because we did not have a public policy platform or legislative platform for our state. So I just want to make sure that there's some effort moving forward to kind of put that in writing for our council for approval, or create some type of meeting where we can kind of provide our input on that. And then secondly, on this issue, I wanted to just, we're very transparent here. We did, have our attorney kind of weigh in on it. We did, we knew what kind of the issues were, and I just want to let you know it wasn't a public meeting. There's meetings going on right now with our legislators, having meetings with stakeholders where we're not even included on the same issues. So I just want to put that out there. It's like we have a letter stating that there wasn't any transparency here, but we have our meetings in public. The legislators are having meetings behind closed doors with other stakeholders on these issues, and we are not at the table. So I just wanted to put that out there. I also wanted to, I get this is a legal issue where this is a legal mechanism where we're pulling back our letter. AB 1000 doesn't exist anymore. Or it's died in committee. So I'm wanting to kind of move this forward just for the legal side of it. But I wanted to make sure I made my point clear across about these, the actual reason why we even had to do it in the first place. So thank you.
Madam Mayor.
And I have a comment too, though. Councilmember Baca.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On this particular issue on AB 1000, yes, our legislative representative should have notified us in advance, but on that particular day, it was brought to our attention at the city council meeting that we have, and this is why the letter has been submitted by an attorney appealing or saying that we violated the Brown Act. It should have been part of public notice, and there was no public notice ahead of time that this item was going to be on the agenda, so the public didn't have an opportunity to come and give their input, whether in opposition or in support of AB 1000 at that particular time that was brought up by Ralph Trujillo, Councilmember Ralph Trujillo. And it was not printed in the agenda, and that's the reason why I believe that we've got this letter right now. We have a responsibility to let the public know that when anything comes before us, it should be printed in advance so they have an opportunity to come and give their input or write, as we have some comments that are written on other issues that are before us right now. And I just wanted to state that and correct that for the record, is that we did not allow public at that particular time to give their input prior to. We only allowed the public to speak for those that were here, but not those that did not even know this was on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you guys for your comments. I think, again, if you track the time and frames in the committee's actions and that this was being heard, I think we could all go back to a timeline and know that the reason I think it was comfortable for us to know to move on it with a subsequent need type was because it had been relegated to a committee. I don't know how much time our legislative representatives would have been aware of that, but going forward, we do have a legislative representative under contract, both at the state and federal level. And we had to have a subcommittee meeting with them while the bills were still being crafted and what have you. And that ended with all being submitted, I think, in the middle of February. And then I will ask staff that at the next council meeting, we have our legislative representative be on the agenda to give an update on where the bills are and the items that we feel are germane to local government and more specifically to us. That's, should be something that we should have presented to them, an update on everything, because we looked at some of them, and AB 1000 wasn't even, it was resurrected. And so I think all of us look at, if you've been in the legislative structure and body, and I think a few of us have up here, you have to wait and see what kind of settles and what becomes, what works its way out. And then also things that get connected as trailers or what have you. So it's time to look at it now. Next month or this month, there will be we'll be up in Sacramento. We'll get an update. In May, we'll be doing more updates with the state legislative body. So with that, that's what we have to look forward. And we expect that, what's our company's name, City Manager?
ARC Strategies.
ARC Strategies will be on the agenda for next council meeting. So is there a motion to move?
Madam Mayor, move to respond to the cease and desist letter received by the Channel Law Group.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Is there any objections to moving with the cease and desist letter? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now on to tab 2. And will that be presented by?
I think I have the pleasure of doing that for you tonight. Madam Clerk will jump in if I miss anything along the way. Tonight we're presenting a proposed ordinance number 1692, and this is a commission reorganization ordinance. Currently, the city has 9 separate commissions that are staffed by volunteers that are selected by the council. The council has indicated in the past that 9 committees is cumbersome. We've had problems trying to get quorums on each of those and to get volunteers for all of them, and some of those committees just haven't been active. So this proposed ordinance would make a number of changes, which I'll walk through. Big picture, it's going to change some of the aspects about memberships of committees and how committee members are selected and how long committee members can serve. And it's going to take the number of committees from 9 down to 4. The hope is that we'll be able to increase efficiency. Okay, let me start with the items that affect membership. First thing that this proposed ordinance would do, if it was adopted, is change 7-member committees down to 5 voting members, and there would be 1 non-voting student member. Member appointment would be, again, by appointment by the City Council, but the City Council would do this as a committee of the whole. All council members would receive all of the applications, and the council would interview all of the applicants selected as a whole, as a council body, and then make a decision as a council body with members requiring at least 3 affirmative votes. The non-voting student members would also be selected in the same manner by the City Council, interviewed by them and appointed by at least 3. Non-voting members would be high school students from local high schools that are at least 10th to 12th grade. They would serve with 1-year terms. Currently, commission members do not have any term limits. They can serve as long as the council would like on a particular committee. This ordinance would propose that moving forward, not counting people who already served terms, but moving forward, prospective only, committee members would be able to serve 3 4-year terms, so 12 years on a single committee. After reaching that time, they could take a hiatus of 1 year and then come back and be eligible to serve on another committee for another set of terms. In trying to implement this, we've selected a date for converting over the commissions of May 31st. Council can also designate another date if you would like. If we select May 31st, all existing commission terms would terminate. Existing commissioners could, of course, indicate their willingness to reapply or serve on the same or an additional committee. New terms would start June 1st, and in order to come up with staggered terms so that we're not always appointing a full commission at the same time, we would have 2 of the commissioners would serve a 2-year term, and 3 of the commissioners would serve a 3-year term, and then that would get us in a rotation, and after those initial terms, everybody would serve 4 years. To make sure nobody's punished for serving a shorter term, those initial terms, the 2-year term, 3-year term, wouldn't count towards the term limit. All right, the 4 remaining commissions. I guess let me start by saying which commissions you actually have, and what's gonna happen with those. Scratch that. Let me go with what you're gonna have. I'm sorry. If this is adopted, you will end up with a Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. It's going to be governed by Rialto Municipal Code, Chapter 2.18, and it will take over the duties of your existing Recreation, Parks, and Social Services Commission. It's also going to absorb the duties of your Historical Preservation Commission, which will be dissolved. It will also advise council with regard to services for senior citizens, beautification, lighting and landscaping practices, and housing strategies. Your Planning Commission will continue to exist. It's going to be regulated by Chapter 2.22 of your municipal code. It's going to absorb a couple important duties. It's going to absorb the duties of the Transportation Commission, and it's going to absorb the duties of the Mobile Home Rent Review Commission. That particularly has been a difficult commission trying to get a quorum. It doesn't meet frequently, and having the Planning Commission be able to provide those duties would be very helpful. In addition, the Planning Commission will also have some new functions relating to what's commonly known as green banking, or strategies and development programs aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Your Rialto Utilities Commission, which is under Chapter 2.24 of the Municipal Code, has existing duties that relate to water and wastewater. This committee or commission will absorb the PEG aspects, that's public education and government channel access and programming functions that were part of another committee that's going to go away. And then finally, you'll have your Human Relations Commission. That's an existing commission that's going to keep its existing duties with some modifications, and it will focus on providing council with advice regarding prevention and elimination of prejudice and discrimination, promotion of equity, social justice and harmony, promotion of inclusive decision-making, and matters related to environmental justice. That means that there's going to be 6 committees that are either being dissolved or their duties are going to be absorbed. Recreation, Parks, and Social Services, of course, is being renamed as the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. And that committee will essentially just be renamed and keep some of the functions along with what I mentioned before. The Historical Preservation Commission is going to be dissolved as a separate commission, and all of its duties will be absorbed by the Parks and Recreation and Community Service Commission. The Rialto Cable Advisory Commission is going to be dissolved. Most of its duties are no longer necessary except for the function related to monitoring and providing advice to council with regard to the public education and government channel. Mobile Home Rent Review Commission will be dissolved as a separate body and all of its duties absorbed by the Planning Commission. Same thing with the Mobile Home Rent Review Commission. That's going to be dissolved as a separate committee. Its duties will be absorbed by the Planning Commission. And the Transportation Commission will be dissolved as a separate committee and its duties and functions absorbed by the Planning Commission. That's an overview of all of the changes that this ordinance will make. I'm sure I and the clerk are happy to address any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Before I go, is there anyone who wanted to speak to this item? All right. Could we perhaps have
I apologize for the delay.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor, City Council, Kim Chitwood at 232 North Sycamore. I'm a member of the Utilities Commission, and I'm opposed to any term limits or the reduction of the number of committees that the city has. They were started at one time or another for a reason, and I think those reasons still exist. So I propose that there be no term limits. Thank you.
Thank you.
June Hayes. Madam Mayor, members of the council, fellow Rialto citizens. One of the things that this city has done historically and done well is listening to the citizens, even when they disagree. Input from citizens is essential in an effective and well-functioning democracy. One way of getting input from citizens is through commissions that allow for citizens to focus on areas of interest, and as a means of other citizens to interact with commission members on a less scary level than public speaking on camera at a council meeting. Commissioners are volunteers who want to serve their community, yet your proposed change will impact that. While I think that having multiple commissions is the ideal and something Rialto does better than many other cities, I don't know enough about the attendance and participation of the other commissions to have an opinion about those that are being disbanded. What I do have problems with is term limits. First of all, you don't have people pounding on the doors to get on commissions. Given the text of the staff report, it seems that many who want to be on a commission later find out that it isn't all status and fun. Being on a commission takes commitment. And most of those on a commission have that commitment to a specific area of interest. The proposed term limit section allows termed-out commissioners to apply for a new commission after 1 year. This encourages people to serve who are more interested in the status of being a commissioner than on serving and doesn't take into consideration the reality that most of us serve on a commission out of a passion for the specific area of functioning. I am on the Utilities Commission, and I have served for many years. It has taken a long time to learn about the water and solid waste industries. Both industries are very complex and take time to understand in order to make appropriate recommendations. All of the utility commissioners are long-serving and dedicated. If the term limit of this item passes, all 5 of the utility commissioners will be termed out. There would be no historical knowledge. We work hard to serve the citizens and our council. Please do not make this mistake. Term limits for unpaid volunteers makes no sense. We only have the power of recommendation. So, that light here is crazy. So terming us out doesn't reflect the reason for term limits. As I understand it, based on the constitutional amendment to limit the term limits for the President of the United States, term limits assist in limiting the power of long-serving people. But since we only make recommendations to the council, we hold no power. The only commission that is paid, and the only one that is mandated by law, is planning. While I don't hold an opinion on term limits for this commission, given that they are both paid and can make certain decisions, would perhaps put this commission in a different category. If you pass the term limit portion of this item, you would eliminate historical knowledge on the Utility Commission, as well as basically kill the commission, leaving new commissioners to figure out what they are to do. This portion of the item makes no sense and is not necessary. Please don't hurt the loyal commissioners and the good people of Rialto by making this very serious mistake. Please reconsider at least the term limit portion of this article.
That's the only public speaker that I put in, but I did provide you a letter from Commissioner Barbara Rickman, and I given that to each one of you.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to address an important point that
Yes, give me a moment, though. I don't think
Of course.
I saw the letter.
Yeah, I
Here,
put it-
Mayor.
that each one of you guys
I'm sorry.
is
It wasn't me, sorry.
I-
Okay,
Is it about the length, the term limit?
correct.
That's my question.
okay. Did you want, what did you want to?
I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear. Ms. Hayes brings up an important point about existing term members being termed out. That's not correct. What's proposed in this ordinance is a term limit of 3 4-year terms going forward. We won't count anybody's existing term. It doesn't term anybody out. Ms. Hayes could serve on the committee for another 12 years if she was appointed by council. And we do that because that follows the rule that we follow when a city adopts term limits for council members. They're only prospective in application. They don't count what you've already served. And so we've applied that same rule here. The council could change that if you wanted to, but what we've proposed is a prospective only. When new terms are established, the term limits will run from that, let's say, June date that I mentioned forward. They won't apply to what somebody's already served. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that. I see that there's a number of comments or lights on. But, you know, I think I would like to speak for the beginning of this to say that what I read here, that I see that since come after almost a year of trying to review and restructure, and I saw some things that were not aligned with where we originally started. And it's been two people in a couple of years, and I have to agree. I don't see even the sense. One of the things I have a problem with is we don't have enough engagement. But it's not so much because we don't have some things to do. It's because we haven't really taken the time to engage. So while this conversation started, and just recently, as this came up, I don't feel that we have adequately addressed the commissioners and that have been volunteering. I have some things here. As I read this staff report, it is nothing compared to what I seem to remember that we started out on. And I checked with staff and figured out there's been more things that's been added than what was the original intent. So I am not in favor of moving forward on this right now. And the time frame. I really am not afraid of looking at the time frame. It's very hard to consider all that's here, even the students. Kids will be out of school by May. So all this structure just doesn't really make sense to me, and I'm sorry. You know, so Councilmember Scott, Mayor Pro Tem, but I won't be voting for this to move forward. I think it needs to be tabled, and I think reality.
Did you move?
Yes, I moved.
Seconded.
And I believe we were the last two subcommittee members, right? Yeah. All right, Councilmember Scott.
I certainly don't have a problem tabling it. I was concerned about the 12-year term limit, but the way it's been explained by Mr. Vell, I think is a pretty acceptable solution. I am concerned about some of the commissions and making sure we have people on them and good people on them that are interested in promoting the city and moving it forward. So I agree. I was a little surprised to see this item on the agenda tonight myself.
Yeah. Trio.
I'm the same way with the term limits. I was, you know, looking at some of our commissions, and I'd like to have further discussion on just our perspective on this. I would like to have another discussion on this before moving forward. So I'm agreeing with tabling it.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. And the reason I say, because I found things that are very concerning to me that are connected to responsibilities. I could not understand. I would just be moving housing strategies over into the community services park rec area. When we have RENA, we have this commitment, and to move it away from planning, I'm sitting there going, how will this housing strategies, community services, and a responsibility, and green banking? Really, the way we get green banking is when we're dealing with developments. And there again, moving green banking. There was pieces it just didn't make sense. Public education, PEG. That's a government, that's public information. Why would we move it over to utilities? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying.
And clerk, I mean, I remember we sat through, but when
Mayor,
I asked.
I have all you guys' notes. I first started this committee with you and Councilmember Perez. She left, and then Councilmember Baca. But thanks to myself and the city attorney, we didn't make any of these recommendations. This is from the two committees, which you was on, both of those committees.
I never recall having the general counsel in those committee meetings.
No, the committee, you.
No, I'm saying counsel.
No, he wasn't, but these are the notes that I provided from him that came from you guys. We didn't make any of these recommendations anywhere. This came from the committee.
Okay.
So.
Well.
I can share all that with you and give all that back to you guys.
I'll be happy to look at the notes, because I did also ask the other member who was a part of it, and this thing has really took on and morphed into something that I don't recognize.
Yeah, and I think we have the responsibility to listen to the public, and I think term limits is one that I think that we should really look at. We're not imposing term limits on us as city council members or mayors. and yet we were going to impose, and I'm glad that we're able to table it. And I was also concerned with the Planning Commission, because the Planning Commission has a lot of responsibility, and then we're adding additional responsibilities to them. And I was just gonna say, how can they?
Well, I think one of them, transportation, is something that is related. If there's a
But it's
nexus.
still an additional responsibility, because they're meeting an awful lot. And they have a lot of meetings and a lot on the agenda as we look at where the city is today and where we want the city to be in the future. And then we're putting something else in there as well, another commission, and that's another responsibility. So I'm glad, Mayor, that you moved to table it.
Okay, so that item is tabled for now, and with that, we will move into open comments. Before we go to that, I would ask if our Community Service Director, Ms. Alvarez, will come forward and share with us.
Mayor, if it's okay with you, we do also have a special report this evening from our Chief of Police on the status of the police station, if that's okay with the mayor and council as well. No?
No.
Okay.
It can wait.
You want to be last?
No, I think, I just said it could wait until our next meeting, because we didn't know it was on the, why didn't you bring it in the beginning?
Okay, I apologize. There's
Please do.
no urgency
Please do,
for it at
Chief.
all.
Please give an update.
Well, so,
It wasn't, I'm just saying, it was
don't worry.
nowhere in this space of stuff that was presented to us.
So, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, what we'd like to do is, going forward, because you have the council committee for the police building, which is the mayor and Councilmember
Councilman
Scott.
Scott. Mm-hmm.
The questions come up a few times on, well, what's going on? So what we're trying to do is to provide you an update once a month, so it doesn't get overwhelming, but things are occurring. Gabe, if you can put up on the screen just for a second here. So once a month, I think the first meeting of each month, I'm going to just do a really quick presentation, brief update, what's occurring. Just so council knows, every Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning, city staff meets with Swinnerton, Griffin, and LPA, which is the architects, and we have a standing meeting of just progressing and moving the police facility going forward. So you'll notice across the street, the parking lot, or soon to be the parking lot. I want to reaffirm to council, those three members that aren't on the committee, it is a temporary parking lot. It will only be there for as long as we need it, and the costs are associated with removing the surface and including the temporary fencing. That should be going up in the next couple of weeks. Modulars, the two north modulars, that'll be the traffic and the investigations modulars, they're set within the next, I'll say, a couple of weeks to be moved down to the annex at 429. And you'll start seeing more vacant property north of the very first modular. And then our investigations teams, along with our traffic and other units, will actually be housed temporarily down at the annex. And those modulars are going to go towards the rear of the property. We're working with city planning, engineers, Colby's group, Tim Sullivan's group, are all a part of this movement. So I keep looking up here.
I know, I keep looking, thinking,
So
well,
I'm hoping Gabe can
you
get
would
it going.
present
But,
the presentation that I took to Dallas. There we go. Okay, so
this was the last remaining three pillars of the solar panels. So if you actually are looking west of our building, the panels are all gone. Gabe will move up to a real quick video while I can keep continuing and talk. Amazing group of workers. They have not wasted any time. You'll see that partially that brick wall's been opened up. So the units will come in through that one driveway, go north, and then they'll exit out onto Rialto for the next couple of years. By the end of this month, there's going to be a construction trailer that's going to be brought in. We've already got to set aside a number of spaces that the construction folks are going to do in addition to the everyday police vehicles. Everything else is going to be in the overflow lot that's going to be across from City Hall. There'll be a fence around that. There'll be a couple of access gates, some ADA parking in addition to lights. We need the lights for security, again, all temporary. We would like to at least advise council that there's going to be a groundbreaking, but we will be working through the clerk's office and your schedules. We're trying to tentatively set that for May. And just again, that's kind of where we're at right now. A lot of things going on daily, a lot of activities. And again, it's all because of your support and your direction. So that's all I want to do is provide that update. But you can plan on that once a month, the first meeting of every month.
Okay. And I would just like to say thank you, and Assistant City Manager. Only thing is, let's put it on once a month, the first month. Give people an update. I sit here and I think about what we did when we built the Pepper Avenue extension. We had cameras where people could actually watch the development, the construction on our webs. I can appreciate that with still security and concerns for, law enforcement and things, we may not be able to do that. But I think it would have been great if we would have put this in the beginning, where our audience is usually more people are in the beginning than as the things go up, and it would be great for them to be able to see it. So that said, when I've got long list, first council meeting in May, do it in the beginning of the presentations while we have a captive audience, people that may not even be here. So that's where I was at, because we have things that we do what's going on, but now it's great. We should keep people. I was hoping you would have, as I commented the last meeting I was here, going to Dallas, and what I noticed of our schedule and how fast we are moving and accelerated. Our community needs to even see that, and we're staying on track. So
We'll take it, Mayor. We'll make sure we get on the first during presentations.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
And I don't
council.
know-
Thanks a lot for your support.
You had anything to add to that? You are the other member. You've been.
Nope, it's just a miracle and amazing to see it moving forward, so
Mhm.
I commend you and staff.
Thank you all.
For getting it moving forward.
Getting out of
and-
people's way. Getting something done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have something?
Yeah, really quick. I just wanted to acknowledge the award ceremony that the Fontana Rialto Alps Lodge put together at the beginning of the month. And so we had a number of our local students who were recognized, along with some of our Vietnam veterans from the city. So I just wanted to give a shout out to John Fulton for coordinating that and putting it together. Also wanted to say it was a great extravaganza. Thank you for all the work that you did with our kids and being able to do it last minute too. Had a great time with the up balloons that were left over at the end. So I had a great time with going to the teen center, glow in the dark, Icon as well. Also wanted to thank the police chief who worked in conjunction with the AAA for putting the Keeping Your Keys workshop. I represent the council there, and I wanted to thank the chief for bringing back that program. It's the first workshop since the pandemic, so it's a big thing, and I'm hoping in the future we can have the junior workshop for our kids as well and our drivers. Other than that, I just want to wish my wife happy birthday, that she has a birthday coming up, and I want to tell her how much I love her. Thank you, Miria. Love you. Thank you.
I thought you wanted to maybe add something to the chief, because we were getting ready to do what's going on. And then we were going to do our reports, but I'm like, okay, see, threw it off.
We've already done it.
Ms. Camarado, yeah, we won't have to worry.
All right. Good evening. Here's what's going on in Rialto. Fire is hosting their awards and badge pinning ceremony on Thursday, April 11th at Sunrise Church at 5 p.m. Basketball and volleyball assessments are currently going on this week from the 11th through the 13th at the Carl Johnson Center. They'll be going on at 5 p.m. till later on in the evening. Tiny Tots Open House will be Friday, April 12th at Hugh Banks from 9 a.m. to noon. Fitness and Aquatic Center will be hosting their open house week next week, Monday through Friday, during their regular business hours. Earth to Table will be Wednesday, April 17th here at the Civic Center in collaboration with Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Earth Day will be held Saturday, April 20th. Check-in starts at 7:30. and the event will go till noon. And as Mike said, if those fantastic volunteers who do a really great job will get an extra cookie. Parents' night out. If you are in need of a date night, you got some little people you'd like to leave with us at the Rialto Community Center. April 27th is your night. Come drop them off from 6 to 10 p.m. Registration is required and limited space is available. Rialto on Wheels and Bike Rodeo will be Saturday, April 27th here at the City Hall campus from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stacks on Stacks Senior Pancake Breakfast will be Saturday, April 27th at Grace Vargas Senior Center from 9 to 11 a.m. Grandpa will be cooking breakfast that day.
Ooh.
My dad.
Oh.
And then on Saturday, April 27th, Delta Sigma Theta Community Health Summit will be happening at Rialto City Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And those are your announcements.
Thank you.
You bringing salsa?
Well, I mean, I could ask him.
Councilmember Scott, comments?
No, I don't really have anything other than to thank Ms. Williams for her great job tonight and getting staff all together to be able to deal with the items on a consent calendar. Thank you very much.
Okay. Councilmember Baca.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. I attended the grand opening of the Coffee Bean grand opening that was held at the Rialto Village last Saturday. It was well attended by many individuals. It's good that we're bringing in another business into the area that will provide additional coffee for anybody that loves to drink coffee. So now I believe at the Rialto Village, we have Starbucks, we have Dutch Brothers, and then now we have Coffee Bean that's in that area. That's all I have to report. Oh, besides, it was my wife's birthday last Saturday too as well. I want to wish her another happy birthday too as well. And that's Barbara Baca.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the San Bernardino County Probation Homeless Outreach that was hosted in the Johnson Center. We had it's the second time that it's been hosted here. I want to give a big shout out to our police department for all their collaboration, and a lot of our nonprofits were there, such as SWAG and other organizations that help with the homeless. But it was really interesting to see how they had the entire setup. They had a judge there, and they had they reach out to some of the homeless community to try to get them, squared away with any of their tickets or any of the issues that they may have. So it was just really interesting how they were able to just kind of bring the judge and everything there to the center, and it was pretty motivating to see some of the people that people that went in there actually came out crying because they got all their things squared away. So it's a really good service. I look forward to hosting it next year, and also wanted to make sure that I know it was hosted through the San Bernardino County Probation, but this is a program that I wish all of us would have gotten a good notice of, because I don't think it was on our calendar, and we're hosting it in the city of Rialto, so I think we should know about it so that the rest of the members that would like to attend can attend. Also attended the Easter event. Was really, as always, Cynthia, where are you? There you are. Good job with all the preparations, and that was my favorite there, the up, and I think Councilman Trujillo ended up taking the balloons in the end. But again, our fire department was out there, police department, along with, there you go. So very well attended, considering we had to change the date because of the rain. It was extremely well attended. I can't imagine how much more attended it would have been if we hadn't changed the time and date. So good job on that, noticing of the community, and to be able to have everybody just come out and move on, literally on a couple days' notice. It was extremely. And then lastly, I want to congratulate the Dulles Polish. I know that Rialto Chamber of Commerce did a re-grand opening of the Dulles Polish, which is here in the city of Rialto. So I want to congratulate them for their re-grand opening. And that's all I have today, Madam Mayor. Well, one more thing. I do also want to thank Councilmember Scott for bringing and taking those things out of consent. And those were really important items that needed to be itemized, and they really needed to be put out to our community, so to just show the transparency. So thanks, Councilmember Scott, for bringing that up. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, quickly, I as well attended Egg Extravaganza. Cynthia, thank you. It was great. A little chilly, but at least it wasn't wet, and we were able to move it quickly. I want to thank. There was a lot turned out. I want to thank you also, Tanya Williams, with all that you're doing. You brought your children out, and just really great turnout. So always amazing, and it seemed to fit well in the Frisbee Park area. You have more space and more layout. I also had the pleasure of attending Saturday. Rialto Unified School District had its literacy and numeracy, and I was there to, yes, it was a lot going on there, mainly to also promote with the STEM program and with the upcoming Water Challenge, the Mayor's Water Challenge, what we're going to be doing, and the Earth to Table. So that was a great opportunity. Earth to Table is really a collaboration between the school district and the city, and get ready. We will see on April 17th over 1,000 third graders that will be coming through here from 10 to 12. It's going to be a great turnout, but it's exciting. We have a water challenge going. The other thing, yes, I just want to say that, yes, there was the Delish grand reopening on Sunday, and there's been a number of things occurring, but I also want to take the opportunity to wish my husband happy birthday, because today is his birthday. And so we, instead, we did dinner on Sunday, had a great time, and he did what he always does on Tuesday, go play golf. So happy birthday. And that will conclude my comments for the night. And City Treasurer, you have anything? And City Clerk, you have anything to add? Nope. So with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Trio, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales. Any objections? Hearing none, we're done.